Chào mừng quý vị quay trở lại với phần tiếp theo của chương trình Đồng tiền thông minh trên kênh FBNC với cuộc trò chuyện cùng anh Avinash Satwalekar là tổng giám đốc và giám đốc đầu tư của công ty quản lý quỹ đầu tư chứng khoán Vietcombank để tìm hiểu rõ hơn về quỹ đầu tư dạng mở. Why should investors consider investing in an open-end fund?
You know, it's a very good question because one of the things that investors do right now is invest their assets in different places so that they can get a return. What open-ended funds do, in addition to all the advantages I was talking about earlier, is it gives you another asset class that's liquid, where you can benefit and save for the long term. One of the key things I think you should focus on whenever you're looking at investing is always have a goal. Right? What is your goal? Why are you saving? Why are you investing? You need to have that goal. Whether it's, you could have different goals. People have short-term goals, people have long-term goals. Your short-term goal could be as simple as, you know what, I'm saving up to buy a motorbike.
Sure.
Or I'm saving up to buy a house or for my wedding. The longer-term goals are more, I'm saving for my child's education, I'm saving for retirement. So you need to have that goal. Once you decide on what your goal is and why you're investing or why are you saving, then you find the right assets. So right now, if you look at it, retail investors put their money in bank deposits, gold. They put it directly into the stock market if they have some knowledge or some information or want to speculate. What open-ended funds does is gives you a method to systematically think about saving,
All right.
planning. And the other thing is it's very well regulated. So the State Securities Commission of Vietnam regulates the open-end fund industry.
Okay.
So it's very well regulated, and there's the one paramount issue that the SSC focuses on is keeping the investors safe.
Okay, it's good to know. So, I mean, I know recently VCBF received a certificate from the State Security Commission, the SSC, approving the establishment of something called VCBF Tactical Balance Fund.
Correct.
Why is this called balanced?
Sure. So if you look at what are the different types of funds that are available in Vietnam right now, you have fixed income funds and you have equity funds.
Like the bond, right? Yeah.
Right. Bonds, fixed income. So you could have government bonds or corporate bonds.
Pretty stable income.
Exactly. So that's for your stable income.
Lower
and then
return.
Exactly right. So not necessarily always, sometimes. Right now, definitely it's lower than what it was previously. But what balanced is literally, as the name suggests, is tries to balance between those two asset classes.
Okay.
So you take fixed income and you take equities. And the reason we decided on doing that was because we did a lot of survey work before we decided on launching the type of fund we were looking at. And what we found was that most investors that we would target were interested in making sure that their capital was safe, but at the same time wanted to have the benefit of any of the upside that occurred in the Vietnamese capital markets. So what we found was that creating this balanced fund product was the perfect solution for it. So what is also important to remember is that it's a tactically balanced fund. So the word tactical, what that means is, if I was to say balanced fund, you'd naturally think 50%, 50%.
Yeah.
Well, what we're saying is that we tactically balance it in the sense that we take anywhere from 25% to 75% in any one asset class. So depending on our view of the economy, depending on our view of what kind of companies we can invest in, we will shift that allocation between 25% if we find nothing in any particular asset class, to if we find a lot of good ideas, we take it up to 75% of the portfolio.
So do you think now is the good time to invest in the securities market in Vietnam?
I think it is, and I'll give you a couple of reasons why. If you look at a macro level, Vietnam, if you read all the newspapers and stuff like that, you'd think that Vietnam is slowing down and things aren't moving. But actually what is happening is all the things that have occurred in the past are finally stabilizing right now. I mean, when you look at GDP growth, for example, it's 5.4% last year, and it's going to be a little higher this year. That's not bad. that is pretty stable growth. We've stabilized the economy. We've brought interest rates down to a level that is manageable, where companies can finally afford to borrow and start putting capital to work. At the same time, interest rates are lower so that individuals can now think about borrowing.
Okay.
And like I mentioned, when you talk about young students coming into the working world,
Yeah.
they're getting salaries. They're going to start spending and consuming. That is going to drive it. So in my mind, from a kind of a GDP perspective, it is a very attractive time to invest in Vietnam. Now, there's another element to it, which is valuations. What am I paying for these companies when I'm buying them, right? In the stock market, when you invest in a company, you've got to make sure that you're buying it at the right price. I think valuations right now are incredibly attractive, especially when you compare that to any other regional country.
Okay.
So you have a very good backdrop of monetary policy that's done extremely well. You have the government that is thinking of putting in some additional fiscal stimulus, which is going to drive the GDP growth. And you have a case where valuations are relatively cheap. So you have a perfectly good situation that will hopefully drive positive returns in the future.
And an open-end fund to consider as well.
Absolutely.
All right, thank you for sharing it. I'll get back to that after a short break. Vâng, vừa rồi là những chia sẻ của anh Avinash Satwalekar, là tổng giám đốc và giám đốc đầu tư của công ty quản lý quỹ đầu tư chứng khoán Vietcombank. Chúng tôi sẽ còn quay trở lại sau một phút giải lao.